A rich dad dropped 10 million quid on chocolate for his daughter, then hired 2,000 people to rip open the wrappers, and all for just one golden ticket. Only 5 of these tickets are out there in the whole world, all from the most famous chocolate factory on the planet, yet no one's ever seen the factory's owner behind the scenes, or how its crazy candies are made for that matter. For 20 years since it was built, no one stepped inside. Even though products keep pouring out every day, not a single employee is ever spotted. Everyone's dying to uncover its secrets. And now this golden ticket isn't just a pass to tour the factory. Willy Wonka, the owner's got a grand prize up his sleeve. Only one of the 5 lucky winners will claim it. On the day the golden ticket chocolates hit shelves, kids swarmed the stores and nearly all the stock was snapped up in seconds. Soon after, lucky winners started popping up all over the globe. The first golden ticket winner was Augustus Gloop, a chubby kid from Germany. He ate over 400 chocolates that day, no skill, just a massive appetite. He almost swallowed the golden ticket right along with them. The second winner was Veruca Salt, a little princess from an aristocratic family. For her, money beats luck and skill every time. Her dad's always given her whatever she wanted, making her think there's nothing she can't have. Naturally, the golden ticket wasn't going to slip through her fingers. Right after the interviews, the little princess hit her dad with a new demand. In the following days, 2 more tickets were found. Violet Beauregard, a blonde girl from America, got the third one. She's insanely competitive. She's been chewing the same piece of gum for 3 months just to set a world record. Her mom raised her to be first at everything, so she's dead set on winning that grand prize. The fourth winner is Mike Teavee, a boy with a sky-high IQ. He figured out where the ticket was by crunching numbers on chocolate production dates, weather, molds, you name it. He even claims he's the reincarnation of Newton and Einstein, calling this little puzzle child's play. Even a total idiot could figure this out. How does it taste? With only 5 golden tickets total, just 1 remained unclaimed. Charlie Bucket's always lived near the chocolate factory. He's totally jealous. But there's Jack he can do. His poor family makes the dream impossible. His grandparents all squeeze into a single bed, covered only by 1 thick quilt. 3 meals a day, it's either cabbage stalks, or cabbage soup. Charlie's grandpa was one of the factory's first employees, who watched it blow up into a global sensation, making Wonka chocolate famous worldwide. Back then, the richest prince in India even invited Wonka to build him a chocolate palace. The bricks were intricately carved chocolate blocks and the mortar was sweet cocoa sauce, but competitors were green with envy. They snuck in and swiped Wonka's secret recipes, letting other factories crank out cheap knockoffs, like ice cream that never melts, gum that keeps its flavor forever, and bubble gum strong enough to pop giant balloons. When Wonka found traitors on his staff, he fired the whole crew in a fit of rage. The factory shut down for years after that, but 20 years ago it made a comeback. Yet no employees have been seen since. Everyone wonders how the chocolate gets made, including young Charlie, who only gets 1 chocolate bar a year on his birthday. This time, his parents bought him an early birthday chocolate when they heard about the golden tickets. Even though their little cabin was drafty and shabby, it was always warm and cozy. The whole family gathered to watch Charlie unwrap it. Amid their eager stares, he peeled off the layers of packaging, only to find a plain, dark chocolate bar inside. His parents comforted him. "Hey, even without the ticket, you still got chocolate to eat." Charlie then broke the chocolate into pieces and shared it with his family, savoring the treat together. Poverty hadn't changed their kindness, but Grandpa could still sense Charlie's letdown. The next day, Grandpa pulled out his only savings and told Charlie to buy another chocolate bar to try his luck. Charlie hurried to the store and grabbed one. He unwrapped it carefully, but no miracle happened. The odds of finding the last ticket were just too slim. He headed to the factory gates, stared at the closed doors, and thought he'd never get inside. On his way home, though, he unexpectedly found a 10-pound note. Thrilled, Charlie bolted to the nearest shop, and the owner handed him the freshest bar they had. This time, Charlie tore it open without hesitation. To his surprise, the long-awaited golden ticket was tucked inside, shining bright right in front of him. "Dude, in my shop!" Customers swarmed around, offering 50 pounds plus a bicycle for the ticket. Someone quickly upped the bid to 500 pounds. The shopkeeper warned Charlie, "Run home with that ticket, don't let anyone scam you out of it." Charlie listened and raced back to his little cabin. When the bedridden grandpa saw that ticket, he instantly popped out of bed, paralysis gone. He started dancing like a man possessed, but as everyone celebrated, Charlie spoke up, cutting through the chaos. "A lady offered 500 pounds for the ticket, and I'm sure someone will offer more." Grandpa froze mid-dance, but then Grandpa George called Charlie to his bedside and gently told him, "Money's the last thing the world's short of. It's printed every day, passed around every day. But this ticket, there's only 5 of them, and there'll never be more. Only a fool would trade it for regular cash. And are you a fool, my grandson? Chase your dreams bravely. Never let an opportunity slip. That's the most precious treasure in life." This was the one shot to get into Wonka's chocolate factory. Crowds of spectators packed the streets outside. Each of the 5 lucky kids could bring one guardian along for the tour. Charlie chose to take Grandpa with him through the gates. There they met the mysterious owner, Willy Wonka himself. He was a surprisingly young guy, with giant glasses and a face pale as a ghost. When he wasn't talking, he was low-key creepy. Throughout the tour, Wonka seemed to know every lucky kid's flaws like the back of his hand. He called out Augustus's gluttony and selfishness. Violet and Veruca pretended to be friendly, but were secretly scheming. The dark corridors sent chills down the parents' spines, making them suspect some kind of plot. But when the final door swung open, their minds were totally blown. A magical scene unfolded before them, a garden straight out of a dream. Every flower and blade of grass here was made of chocolate. There was a cascading chocolate waterfall and a silky smooth chocolate river. Wonka invited everyone to taste whatever they wanted, and the kids went wild, each showing their true colors. Augustus literally shoveled as much as humanly possible into his mouth. Mike, who hated chocolate, wandered around messing things up. Violet was hostile, focused only on winning the grand prize. Veruca was giddy over all the new sights. Dozens of little Oompa Loompas worked diligently there, Wonka explained. They're my workers. They used to live on an isolated island, eating disgusting grubs because they had no other choice. The few cocoa beans that grew on the island each year were their sacred favorite food. I tempted them with endless chocolate, and they agreed to come work for me, giving me a team of hardworking laborers. As Wonka told his story, Augustus kept gorging on chocolate. He tried to eat almost the entire garden, even the chocolate river. Wonka warned Augustus to cut it out, but the greedy kid ignored him. In the end, he slipped and fell into the chocolate river. Wonka sighed and gave a single glance, activating a mechanical pipe that sucked Augustus out of the water. He told Augustus's mom, "He's been sent to the fudge room. That's what happens when you pig out." Suddenly, more Oompa Loompas swarmed in, dancing in unison to a weird tune. Their song called out the reason for Augustus's elimination, his mom's coddling and his own greed. Veruca's dad noticed the song seemed rehearsed. Did Wonka already know how this would play out? Wonka ignored his question and led everyone to the next room, a laboratory where he cooked up new candies. There was peppermint gum that kept you energized for a full day of work, hard candy that could feed a poor kid for a year, and toffee that promoted hair growth. Though the effect was still a bit hit or miss, Wonka's proudest creation was the gum produced by this machine. It had flavors like barbecue and soup, and one piece could replace an entire day's meals. But it still had a few kinks in its current stage. Before Wonka could finish explaining, the competitive Violet grabbed a piece and popped it into her mouth. "My little girl's the first one to eat a meal gum." Violet first tasted the appetizer, then the main course soup. But when she got to the blueberry pie flavor, her nose turned blue. Soon, her entire body started changing color, and she began to swell up, quickly transforming into a giant blueberry. Still, she refused to spit out the gum. Her mom's only worry? Suddenly, more Oompa Loompas rushed in, singing and dancing. Their song called out Violet's mom, saying her daughter's fate was all 'cause of her terrible vanity and she'd never win the grand prize. With that, Violet was out. Wonka led the remaining group to the nut room. Along the way, everyone asked him why he made candy except Charlie, who hit him with a unique question. Wonka froze. He paused, then slowly said, Nah, I don't. But in reality, he remembered every detail. When Wonka was a kid, his dad was a dentist. To protect his teeth, his dad made him wear a torture-like metal brace and forbade him from eating any candy or chocolate. On Halloween, his dad threw all the candy he'd collected into the fireplace. Watching the candy burn, Wonka felt the distance between him and his dad grow wider and wider. The next day, Wonka found a single forgotten chocolate bar. He snuck it into his mouth, and in that moment he tasted pure joy, falling completely head over heels for chocolate. By the time he snapped back to reality, they'd arrived at the nut room. The nut room was like an assembly line. A row of squirrels worked in perfect order, tapping nuts to check if they were good, then tossing the bad ones into a garbage chute. When Veruca saw them, her eyes lit up. She said, "At home, I have 1 pony, 2 dogs, 4 cats, 6 rabbits, 2 parrots, 3 canaries, 1 turtle, and 1 stupid hamster. Now I want a working squirrel." Her wealthy dad offered a huge sum of money, but Wonka shot him down flat. Veruca was used to getting whatever she wanted. This was the first time she'd heard no. She squeezed through the railing, determined to catch a squirrel herself. But the squirrels sniffed the air, detecting a bad nut approaching. In seconds, they swarmed her like piranhas. The squirrels pushed Veruca toward the garbage chute and tossed her in without mercy. Her dad leaned in to check on her, only to get kicked in by the squirrels too, joining his daughter. They became the 3rd group to be eliminated. Next, Wonka took Charlie and Mike into a fully transparent elevator. It could move up, down, left, and right. You could go to any workshop just by pressing a button. Along the way, they passed a fudge snow-capped mountain, saw Oompa Loompas digging for toffee, and visited the cotton candy factory. Even a brilliant fireworks display greeted them. But Mike thought it was all flashy and useless, complaining that it was boring. "What's even the point of making candy?" he griped. Charlie said, "Candy doesn't need a point. You eat it, and it makes you happy." Wonka said nothing. Charlie's words had sent him back into his memories. After falling in love with chocolate, Wonka began secretly collecting all kinds of chocolate bars. He analyzed their recipes and vowed to create the world's most delicious chocolate brand. But his dad flew into a rage. "If you're going to make chocolate, you're no longer my son." Wonka walked out and never looked back. But when he returned years later, having mastered the art of chocolate making, his dad had kept his word. He'd moved the entire house, refusing to see Wonka ever again. To this day, the two haven't reunited. Wonka had long forgotten what family love felt like. Soon, they arrived in a high-tech room. Wonka wanted to show Mike something meaningful. Everyone put on special glasses to witness his greatest invention, TV chocolate. With a flash of white light, a chocolate bar in the room appeared on the TV screen. Charlie reached out tentatively and easily pulled the chocolate bar out of the TV. Mike was stunned, but he quickly shouted at Wonka, "You idiot! A teleportation machine and you're using it to send chocolate? I have to try it myself!" He blew past everyone's warnings, ran over and smashed the button. Another flash of white light, and Mike appeared inside the TV, shrunk down to a tiny size. He was tossed around by different TV shows, getting dizzy and disoriented. His dad pulled him out, but there was no way to make him grow back to normal. Wonka suggested, "Take him to the toffee pulling room. They can stretch him back." With that, only Charlie remained. He was the winner of the grand prize. Wonka shook his hand like a maniac in congratulations, then led him and Grandpa back into the transparent elevator. The elevator accelerated, shooting straight up, finally soaring into the sky. Charlie and Grandpa hovered above the factory, watching the eliminated kids walk out. Each was a victim of bad parenting. Children are born kind and innocent, but their parents had pushed them to extremes. Some were rich, some were comfortable, but in the end, kids have to walk their own paths. The elevator descended to Charlie's house, crashing right through the roof of their shabby cabin. Wonka met Charlie's entire family. It all started 6 months earlier when Wonka noticed a gray hair falling from his shoulder while getting a haircut. That one gray hair hit him. He was getting older, and he needed someone to take over. But he was more worried. Who will take care of the Oompa Loompas after I'm gone? So he searched for 5 lucky kids, eliminated the ones he disliked, and chose Charlie as his heir. But there was a catch. Charlie had to abandon his family just like Wonka did and dedicate his entire life to chocolate making. Wonka figured Charlie, who'd grown up poor, would jump at the chance to leave his family and join him. But to his shock, Charlie shook his head hard. "Then, I can't go." In Wonka's world, family was a source of pain. He'd spent his life using candy to heal his childhood scars, never understanding the true meaning of family. Dejected, Wonka sat in the elevator and headed back. Charlie's family stared at their wrecked cabin in silence. Then Grandma spoke up, and surprisingly, they were. The next day, Charlie helped his parents fix up the roof. Grandpa tore himself away from bed and spent the whole day helping with chores, full of energy he hadn't had in years. Charlie's dad, who'd been laid off because machines replaced human workers, quickly landed a job repairing those same machines. No more cabbage stalks and leaves for them. They finally had proper meals. But over at the factory, Wonka was a mess. Wonka couldn't stop overthinking the point of his candy making. Even his new flavors fell flat. Nothing tasted as good as it used to. Desperate, he tracked Charlie down and asked. Charlie saw right through Wonka's confusion about family. He suggested Wonka go see his dad again. Maybe Wonka was just scared, and all he needed was a little push. Finally, with Charlie by his side, Wonka returned to his childhood home. Snow covered every inch of the place, and his dad's house stood alone in the white, like it had been waiting for him all these years. Wonka's hands shook. He was still terrified of his dad. When his dad opened the door, he didn't recognize Wonka. He thought he was just another patient coming for a dental checkup. As they stepped inside, Charlie noticed something. A wall covered with newspaper clippings about Wonka, all carefully cut out and saved in albums. It was quiet, unspoken fatherly love, right there in plain sight. Meanwhile, Wonka's dad examined his teeth, and his eyes widened. Father and son, separated for decades, finally reunited. They hugged awkwardly at first, then tighter. Wonka had finally made peace with his past. Later, Charlie agreed to inherit the factory, and Wonka joined Charlie's family, experiencing the warm, simple joy of family love for the first time. "You smell just like peanuts. I love peanuts." This is a fairy tale for kids and grown-ups alike. Children's literature usually paints a picture of pure goodness, but this movie throws in a little dark humor, even a few creepy moments that stuck with us as kids. But now, its message hits different. Greed, vanity, and arrogance are front and center. They scared us when we were young, but they also pushed us to be kinder, more humble. The key to the tallest tower in this wonderland? It's Charlie's pure, caring, and modest heart. If you dug today's breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe. We'll be back with more movie deep dives soon. See you next time.